What's happening is our whole neighborhood is kind of under siege to a degree with this.
A neighborhood menace has these residents on edge.
A little bit unsettling. It's a little bit sad that I need to batten my hatches more now.
And despite being arrested several times, they say the system allows her to keep finding her way back onto the streets.
Clearly suffering from mental illness. She's probably going to pass through the crucible of the justice system.
A 13-year-old goes on a joyride and crashes into a school bus. We'll tell you why she won't face much consequence.
Plus, teacher raises are in the hands of the voters.
We want our children to be exceptional, and in order for that to happen, we have to have exceptional people in our classrooms.
We look at what it will take to get teachers a little extra help.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us for Denver 7 News at 6 tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
I'm Ann Trujillo. For more than a week, residents in one Boulder neighborhood say they've been terrorized by a woman they say is breaking into cars, stealing bikes, and carrying a bat around with her.
But every time police come out and arrest her, the neighbors feel like she just slips through the cracks and then ends up back on the streets.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon spoke to residents who just want to feel safe at home and believe there has to be more done about mental health care in Colorado.
That's Cat. He's a good dog.
Yeah. Max Lord has a lot to thank his dog for.
It's hard being a hero, isn't it, buddy?
But this week, Cat really saved the day.
The dog was howling and baying, which he typically doesn't do inside. And I came outside because I assumed it was wildlife.
That was early on Thursday morning.
She just went through the whole garage and kind of tore it apart and took what she saw fit.
When Lord says he found a woman spray painting his truck black.
She actually didn't do that bad of a paint job, honestly, for 2 in the morning with a rattle can.
His dog is what Lord says scared her off.
He ran down the alley, baying, found the culprit, so to speak, and we brought her back here and detained her until the police arrived.
We as a neighborhood are, locking our doors and letting each other know where her whereabouts are.
Tom Boyce lives next to Lord and sent us this picture of who they both say is the culprit. Arrest papers say her name is Asija Bynes, and she was charged with a number of crimes related to Thursday morning. Police also note she was arrested just a week before this on several other charges, including aggravated motor vehicle theft.
It's like Groundhog's Day, she's out on the street again the next day.
The neighbors say the judge in the case gave her a PR bond, meaning she's already out again.
Fall back down to us as a neighborhood to deal with the consequences. Our system is broken, and that's a sad story.
While Lord works to fix his truck.
I'll probably paint it white because it would cost me $2,000–3,000 to get somebody else to do it, and that's half the value of the truck.
Saying there's no winners in this situation.
She's clearly suffering from mental illness. She's probably going to pass through the crucible of the justice system, and then meanwhile I need to start padlocking all of my things.
And that there needs to be a better answer for mental health care than jail. Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
And we also spoke with the Boulder County Sheriff to get an idea of what jail capacity is like right now. It's bursting at the seams. So there are technically 540 beds, but the pandemic has really clogged up the court system. And this morning, they had 440 inmates in the jail, some even sleeping on the floor. Now, the Sheriff's Department says all of those 540 beds cannot be used because cells are double bunked, and some serious offenders cannot be placed with others for safety reasons. There are also some 70 inmates who technically shouldn't even be there. They're either waiting for evaluations from the state hospital in Pueblo or are just waiting for the state to figure out where to send them.
And these issues extend to the state mental health hospital in Pueblo. Officials there say they are not able to work with a full staff or workers because of the national nursing shortage. And on top of that, they say as of today, they have 382 beds filled at the hospital. 7 of them are available for competency restoration treatment. All 7 of those have offers pending, and right now there are 384 pre-trial defendants found incompetent to stand trial, and they are waiting admission into the hospital.
A 13-year-old girl behind the wheel of a car that crashed this morning in Boulder County, and a school bus was involved, as you can see here. The driver of that school bus, the only person on board. It happened about 8 o'clock this morning near 287 and Lookout Road near Erie. Now, State Patrol says the girl was obviously driving without a license and without her parents' knowledge. But since the car was not stolen, no arrests were made. The girl was cited and then released back to her parents. Heritage High School and Runyon Elementary in Littleton put on a secure perimeter today as police were looking for a carjacking suspect. Now, as of 3:30 this afternoon, police know Oh, we've just been told the suspect has been arrested. So at 3:30, they let the students out because they thought the area is safe. And as we said, the suspect now has been arrested.
62 nuns whose bodies were exhumed from the Loretto Heights campus in Denver have been properly reinterred at Mount Olivet Catholic Cemetery in Wheat Ridge. The nuns were exhumed from their graves last month to help make way for the redevelopment of the campus. The nuns were part of the Sisters of Loretto. Local carpenters put in more than 500 hours of work to make sure each nun had a custom casket to be buried in.
The Douglas County voters will have several things to vote on in November. Not only will they choose who they want to represent them on the state and federal level, they'll also decide additional funding for the schools. Denver 7's Macon Lopez shows us 2 ballot issues that voters will decide.
Any other comments?
The new Douglas County School Board has been in the news a lot over the last year. For protests, for firing its superintendent, for a lawsuit over violating open meetings laws and more. But now the board is looking to turn the page on all of that and asking voters to help fund the future of the district.
We want our children to be exceptional, and in order for that to happen, we have to have exceptional people in our classrooms.
The request comes in the form of 2 ballot questions. One asking voters for a $450 million bond so the district can build 3 new schools and upgrade and maintain its current buildings.
It would be a no tax increase bond, so what that means is there won't be a net change to what people are paying in taxes for the bond.
The second ballot question is for a $60 million a year mill levy override, meaning property tax increase to better pay staff.
Our teachers would receive an average of about a 9% increase. Our support staff would receive a 9% increase.
The school board says these raises are desperately needed because they pay the lowest in the area and teachers are struggling.
One of my son's teachers leaves every single day and packs up and goes to work at Home Depot because he's unable to provide for his family.
It would make us a little more competitive with other districts.
It's something the teachers union says won't fix all the problems or even bring it up to the pay of other counties, but it would help.
9% will help slow the bleed, but it won't stop it. It's really a matter of coming together and doing what's best for public education.
But while former Dougco School Board member Kevin Nuns supports the mission,
this is not the time to go if they truly want to pass a mill and bond.
He worked on the district's prior bonds, and he says inflation, taxes, and a possible recession are concerning for voters right now, but also the district's image.
You don't want such a negative news while you're asking people for $60 million.
And the district's own polling shows most voters aren't supportive of either measure. Only 39% said they would vote yes. Lung says there hasn't been enough outreach.
They don't have the money or the army of volunteers that line up.
And failing this time will just set back the schools even more.
If you fail, you'll not be able to get another opportunity to put it on the ballot for a few more years.
Nevertheless, both questions are heading to the ballot where Douglas County voters will have the ultimate say. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.
Now, if approved, the mill levy would mean about $255 more in property taxes for the average home in the area. Now, the bond won't result in an increase, but if it does not pass, taxes would go down a little bit.
Denver teachers have just a few days left until their contract expires. The district and teachers union will be back at the negotiating table next Wednesday at 9, and officials say they will go until they reach an agreement. Teachers are asking for a starting salary of $55,000 a year, cost of living increases, a stipend for serving on school committees, and extra duty compensation.
City of Woodland Park's been ordered to pay a man $65,000 for blocking him on Facebook. The man's attorney says he was blocked by the city's official Facebook page and police department as well for criticizing a raid by police. The man claimed his First Amendment rights had been violated. Now, in addition to paying that $65,000, the city must take off a clause that it has on its page saying they can remove comments based on vulgarity and what they deem inappropriate.
A huge milestone tonight for the Central 70 project through Denver. Westbound I-70 it will be shut down tonight at 10 o'clock so CDOT can put I-70 in its final configuration. And as you know, this has been a long time coming. CDOT crews will realign the lanes, remove some barriers, and get I-70 smooth through the new I-70 tunnel. And lanes should reopen by 5 a.m. Monday morning. We will have updates for you Monday morning starting at 4:30.
Next week, RTD's Free Fare Month will come to an end. All buses and train rides have been free all month long, but there are other affordable options you have moving forward. One is the Colorado Car Share program. Representatives got the word out about it today. So there are several locations at several RTD rail stops. And we spoke to one man today who's used the program since January.
The one you're seeing here is a hybrid, and that's predominantly what we use. There's also electric vehicles that we can use. And then there's also like 4x4 vehicles, so like trucks or SUVs, that if we need to get to a trailhead, say, that requires more coverage, then we can take that.
There are more than 50 car share locations in Denver, and you can find them at carshare.org.
Scattered storms will start the weekend, but much of the weekend looks hot and dry.
Animal shelters have enough supply.
Our capacity is really stretched.
But right now, the demand's not there.
When we're talking about dogs, we're seeing it take longer for them to get adopted.
And that has shelters taking unprecedented action. How you can help.
Plus, we are 24 hours out from the Broncos' final preseason game, and this team is ready to return to prominence.
I think that we have the team to overcome a lot of that trial and tribulation.